Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's just dive right into this. Have you ever felt like you're doing absolutely all the right things for your goals? You know, you're following every single step, doing all the homework, but you're just getting nowhere? Well, if you spent any time looking into self-improvement or goal setting lately, you've probably stumbled across these viral manifestation tricks that promise a quick fix. And the most famous one out there right now is the 55 by 5 method. It basically promises that if you just write your goal down 55 times a day for 5 days straight, your wildest dreams are going to suddenly materialize out of thin air. But here's the core problem we're unpacking today. These mechanical manifestation habits almost always leave us feeling completely stuck and frustrated. So we're going to look at exactly why this happens, and more importantly, we're going to uncover the deep psychology and neurology of how real change actually happens in the human brain.
It's a question I hear all the time. I mean, let's be real. You sat down, you followed the TikTok trend to the absolute letter. Your hand practically cramped up from writing "I am a millionaire" 55 times. You waited patiently, and you saw absolutely zero real-world results. Let me just validate that frustration right now. You aren't alone, and it's definitely not because you did the writing wrong or used the wrong color pen. Honestly, it's genuinely absurd to think that speed writing your dreams is enough to overwrite decades of psychological conditioning. The method fails for so many of us because it's almost always practiced as a purely mechanical exercise, totally bypassing the actual internal systems that are required for lasting transformation.
So here is our roadmap today. We're taking this from a surface-level internet trend all the way down to deep neurological integration. We'll cover 1. The 55 by 5 mechanical trap. 2. Shifting your state of being. 3. Why thinking isn't enough. 4. Grounding the nervous system. And finally, 5. Harmonizing the internal self.
Let's start with Section 1, the 55 by 5 mechanical trap.
We really need to look at exactly how this method is typically practiced by the masses and precisely where it goes off the rails. There is an incredibly stark contrast between two entirely different mindsets here. First up, we have the mechanical approach. People treat the 55 by 5 method like it's a high school detention assignment. They write incredibly fast, they multitask, they might even be scrolling on their phones between lines. It feels exactly like homework, and there's absolutely zero emotional connection to the words on the page. Now, contrast that with the mindful approach. This requires a genuine emotional connection, vivid visualization, and true presence in your body. Treating manifestation like a hand-cramping chore completely misses the point, because it completely fails to engage your subconscious mind. I mean, this is meant to be a practice of internal reprogramming, right? Not a speedwriting contest to see how fast you can fill up a notebook.
As Dr. Niti Kaushik points out in her analysis of the 55-5 method, manifestation is not about asking the universe to give you something. It is about becoming the version of yourself who can naturally receive it. And that is absolutely crucial. This means the real work is about transforming who you are at your absolute core. Just frantically writing lines on paper without actually changing your internal state, that sends confusing low-vibe signals of desperation straight to your subconscious. You're basically shouting, "I don't have this thing yet," the entire time you're scribbling.
Which brings us to Section 2, shifting your state of being.
Let's see how this builds into the concept of a fundamental identity shift, because this is where the magic actually happens. As psychological practitioners point out, you are always manifesting, because you're always occupying a state of being. Let's say you want to manifest a new car. If you just write about the car, your focus is entirely on the object. Instead, your focus needs to be on yourself actually being a car owner. Think about it. How does a car owner think? How do they feel on a daily basis? What are their assumptions about the world? You have to mentally embody that identity. It's all about being rather than doing. When you focus only on the doing, like the rote memorization of a 55 by 5 task, your brain still fundamentally believes you lack the very thing you're trying to get. And that, right there, is exactly why mechanical writing fails. It's 100% doing and 0 being.
Moving on to Section 3, why thinking isn't enough.
Now you might be wondering, why is it so hard to just think myself into this new identity? Why can't I just write it until I believe it? Well, the exact reason your written affirmations feel so empty is the very same reason traditional talk therapy sometimes fails trauma victims. When we experience overwhelm, whether that's complex childhood trauma or honestly just the compounding chronic stress of daily life, our system actually fragments to survive. It's like a shattered mirror. The experience shatters into sensation, which gets locked in the body as chronic physical tension. It shatters into emotion, which gets suppressed deep in the amygdala. And the meaning? That's left completely unprocessed, meaning a cohesive story never actually forms. This trauma or chronic stress completely bypasses our logical thoughts. During these moments of overwhelm, the neocortex, that's your thinking, logical, language processing brain, literally goes offline. Your primal survival brain just takes the wheel.
This is incredibly important for our discussion today because if your subconscious blocks, your anxieties, and your limiting beliefs don't actually live in your thinking brain, you absolutely cannot simply think or write your way out of them. A mechanical 55-5 writing exercise relies entirely on the neocortex, which is the exact part of the brain that shuts down when we're stressed or blocked. You're essentially trying to use a broken tool to fix a problem it can't even reach.
This leads us right into Section 4, grounding the nervous system.
Since the logical brain goes offline during stress, we have to engage the body first. And here is where we find a much healthier, science-backed use for the number 5. Look, the number 5 is wildly popular in internet psychology right now, but it isn't some magic manifestation spell on its own. When used correctly, the number 5 is actually a profound rhythmic tool used by clinicians to anchor the human nervous system in the present moment. It's all about bringing us back to safety.
For example, let's take a look at triangle 5-5-5 breathing. You inhale deeply for 5 seconds, you hold that breath for 5 seconds, and then you exhale slowly for 5 seconds. By engaging in this rhythmic 5-second cycle, you are physically forcing the activation of your parasympathetic nervous system. If you've ever felt a massive wave of relief wash over you after a deep sigh, yep, that is this exact system kicking in. It's your rest and digest mode. It pulls you right out of fight or flight, it lowers your hypertensive blood pressure, and it physically normalizes your heart rate. It creates the biological safety that is required for your logical brain to finally turn back on.
Similarly, there's the 5-5-5 sensory grounding method for anxiety. Instead of writing a phrase 55 times, you just pause. You notice 5 things you can see around you, 5 things you can physically feel, and 5 things you can hear in your immediate environment. This method so quickly disrupts looping anxious thoughts. It lowers your cortisol by bypassing that chaotic thinking brain entirely and using your raw physical senses to remind your body that it is safe right here, right now. Because, hey, you can't change your identity if your body thinks it's currently running from a tiger.
And that brings us to our final section, Section 5, harmonizing the internal self. Once our nervous system is grounded and our body feels safe, the neocortex can finally come back online. Now we can begin the absolute deepest work of all. We look to a fascinating evidence-based psychotherapy model called inner family systems, or IFS for short. IFS teaches us that our mind is not just one singular monolithic block. Instead, it's more like an internal family made up of different subpersonalities, or parts. To truly heal, to truly shift our identity and manifest real change, we have to stop fighting our protective habits. We have to bring all these internal parts into harmony under the steady guidance of our core self. The IFS model cleanly categorizes our internal system into a few distinct roles. At the core, we have the self. This is your undamaged, innate state of compassion, curiosity, and absolute clarity. Then we have protectors. These are the parts of you that step in to guard you against pain, though, let's be honest, they often cause dysfunctional habits like procrastination or self-sabotage in the process. And finally, we have exiles. These are the parts that carry the heavy, painful emotions and burdens of past trauma. If you're blindly writing affirmations while a protector part of you is secretly terrified of success or terrified of failure, your system is going to remain completely blocked.
To restore that balance, IFS uses a step-by-step process called unblending. This helps your core self establish deep, genuine trust with these protective parts, rather than just trying to aggressively bypass them with mechanical habits. We use the 6 F's. You find the part in your body, focus on it, flesh out how it feels, assess how you feel toward it without any judgment, befriend it by understanding its positive intent to keep you safe, and finally, ask what it fears would happen if it stopped protecting you. It is such a profound practice of internal empathy that literally rewires how you relate to your own limitations.
Because this isn't about fighting yourself, it's not about forcing positive thoughts over negative ones. As this quote from the IFS model really drives home, the self is the agent of psychological healing. Protectors often soften up when they establish a harmonious relationship with the self. True change, true manifestation, it just doesn't come from forcing a repetitive affirmation onto a terrified nervous system. It comes from compassionate, internal self-leadership, where every single part of you feels safe enough to move forward.
And guys, this isn't just internet theory. Clinical research on personality integration and psychotherapy underscores that the ability to move flexibly between these diverse self-states, actually understanding our protectors and our exiles, is scientifically backed. Engaging with this deep emotional processing is a major predictor for genuine symptomatic change and long-term psychological well-being. It is literally the bridge between wanting something and actually becoming the person who can sustain it.
So, as we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with a pretty provocative question to really reflect on. Are you just going through the motions, writing lines on a page like a machine? Or are you truly ready to change your state of being? Ditch the mechanical homework. Take a deep breath to ground your nervous system, connect with your internal parts with genuine compassion, and start doing the deep, transformative work of internal harmony. Because ultimately, that is how real change happens. Thanks for joining me.
That's all for today, beautiful souls. If manifestation feels unclear sometimes, it may not be because you're doing anything wrong. Sometimes clarity comes from understanding your own psychological and mathematical patterns first. I engineered a personalized numerology experience that offers a distinct perspective on your timing, strengths, and life themes. If that resonates, check out the link in the description and explore it for free. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and follow for more angel number insights, spiritual mindset upgrades, and manifestation wisdom. Thanks for supporting and watching. Have a great day.